In this lesson, we're going to take a look at the parts of the 2012 theme and see how this theme is mobile first. Check out its breakpoints for responsive design so we can start working with it. Now, why did I choose the WordPress 2012 as opposed to 2013 or 2014 for these lessons? Well, the 2013 theme is more of a blog theme. It's very straightforward, centered text. 2014, they tout as a magazine theme. It uses a lot of imagery. It's very sleek and modern, but I don't think it works as well as a base theme to learn how to build simple websites that you might build for client works or maybe restaurants or business locations that really have they either need just simple directions and about statements as opposed to being bloggy that you're going to be adding a lot of content to over time or something that's going to use a lot of images. This is a really good starting point to learn CSS development. So we take a look at our code style sheet. I'm going to open up my code editor, and starting at the top, we've got our theme name. We're working with this template. There's some information about how this uses rem values for font sizes. We're going to get into that in a later tutorial. Just suffice it to say that as you look through this code, you're going to see some strange numbers. You're going to see numbers with really long decimal places, and we're going to get into that when we talk about fonts. So for right now, we're going to scroll down. In the beginning, we've got the import. It's importing our style sheet from the parent theme. It's going to reset everything to 0, all our padding and margins. I'm going to go down to line, take a look at the navigation. Let's see, the basic structure. So the commenting here is really good. It shows us all the sections are commented in so that you can see where a certain division is designated within the CSS. So once you get down to your basic structure, you can see that we have our body and our links. This is where you're going to put most of the code for overall site work. So for example, the body of the site has the 444 color for the text. That's the color of all the text on the website. Your link colors and your hover colors are listed there. As we scroll down, we can see we get into our page structure. So the page structure is the site content, the area within our margins and padding. And we go down, we see our headers, and it basically goes down from the top, similar to the way the page is set up. So you have your headers, you have your navigation, you have a banner area, you have your sidebar, which is the widget area on the right. You have your footer, you have your main content, and your commenting. And as you go down, you also get a little bit of the nitty-gritty into commenting and archive pages, your main page, your post formatting pages, and some fine-tuning of your comments and front pages. Now, what I want to take a look at and show you here, once we get down near the bottom, so once we get down to line 1448, we see our media queries. Now this is where you're going to see your breakpoints in terms of responsive design. So what is responsive design? This template is a mobile first template, which means that all of the defaults are set up to be assumed that you're looking on a mobile device, on a smaller device, and then as your browser gets larger, it's going to give different rules to certain divisions, to certain selectors, so that you can enhance the site design. So you can get rid of your menus. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to use my responsive web developer view. I'm going to just grab my browser and make it smaller and wider. So if I take a look at this and I go narrower and narrower, you can see that the site changes. Now, this is our default. Our default is going to be with the header in the centered at the top. You have a menu that you can toggle open and closed, and then you have your content area that's centered and has a margin padding actually between the left and the right. And you can see that the images respond to get smaller and larger. The text stays about the same. Now when we go back into our code, we'll see it says at 1463 minimum width of 600 pixels. And it says at media, screen, minimum width 600 pixels. Now you'll see what happens as I bring the browser wider. I'm going to go back to the top. And as I bring the browser wider, once we hit 16 pixels wide, we'll see that, boom, we get the navigation. We see that the text at the top goes flush left, and we now have our navigation menu displayed rather than having it contained within our menu toggle. So we go wider, 600 pixels. So at 600 pixels, you get a nice browser window. As you go larger, we go back to the code, we'll take a look. So what it's doing is it's changing what the browser is going to do based on how wide it is. And we're going to get into that once we get into the menu toggle and the top navigation and the site content. I scroll down in the code and I get to another breakpoint, which is the, let's see, minimum width of 960 pixels. So at 960 pixels, you're going to see that the site is going to change again. What it'll do is it will add a left and right. You can see it just keeps getting wider up until it gets to 960. Once it hits 960, boom, you get a background. You have a little bit more space up top, and you see that the site actually centers within the browser window so that you have a background. So larger browsers are you're not gonna want to have the site go to so wide that that your text blocks are gonna be going super wide. You can see this is already wide because I don't have any content in the right column. But as we get narrower, you can see that you don't need that background. It's going to be a waste of space for somebody who's on a tablet. And once you get even narrower, once you're on a mobile device, you're going to want it to be even smaller. So that is the way that the 2012 theme is mobile responsive. And at the very bottom of the code, you can see that that's your print. So when you're printing, it will do a different format. So that's the basic breakdown of the 2012 WordPress theme structure. We see how it works with responsive design. And in our next lesson, we'll start planning the design of our site.